I said, ooh, yeah. Not giving away my shot.
Strange case. Huh. How did this episode start?
Oh, dog, we didn't even talk about what happened to Ruby last episode.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that'll be a good thing. We can start off with that first.
Yeah.
What's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Sammy Nugget here representing Team JVS. Back here again. We got Lovecraft Country, episode 5. And I got my man Lucas here. We about to do the spoiler thing. Y'all should know by now, we go raw, unfiltered. I mean, censored to an extent, but we talk about everything and anything. So if you don't want to get spoiled, please turn away now and just watch our non-spoiler review. But I think that I can speak for both of us that this is probably our favorite episode so far.
Hands down.
In a lot of different ways, it pays off on things that we've been having questions about. But I think even just the execution of the episode flowed so much more naturally because it stick to a specific narrative, and it kept to it the entire time. So the last episode, we talked about how bad it was, but we didn't talk about something that happened in the beginning of, or the end of the last episode, which was Ruby, Letty's sister. She kind of feels down on herself after, I don't know if they didn't allude whether or not she got a little bit of money too or not. I can't really remember. I think she did, because she went to like the jeweler store and she saw this black lady got the job that she really wanted. And she just didn't want to buy anything at that point. And so she kind of walked out. She went, did her little singing gig. Nobody liked it. Ended up at the bar. And lo and behold, we find Christina's
manservant.
Servant, whatever.
Before the end of the episode, her manservant, William.
Exactly. And William, basically kind of seduces her with the good time. She ain't, she at this point, she didn't care. Like, it didn't matter to her. She just kind of wanted to feel good about herself. Somebody was telling her something good about herself. But when she wakes up, after the promises that he left for her, in this episode, she is not who she was anymore. And the crazy thing about it is, for me, every question that an African-American man or woman would kind of like go through or process being put in a place of being a Caucasian man or a woman, they dissect in the most amazing ways in this episode for me, through the character of Ruby. Like, Ruby goes to a place of privilege. She goes to a place of like a superiority complex. She goes to a place of neglect of a people. But then she also goes back to harping on how she got to this place and what did it cost? What is the cost? How does she really feel about herself? How does she really feel about her people? And I feel like the way that they executed that was the heart and the meat potatoes of this episode to me. Even though the episode started with what's the name's dad.
after he killed the woman that they rescued at the end of episode 4.
Yeah. And Atticus just loses his crap. Every single part of him that, was abused or felt neglect or felt anger towards his dad, he let that joint out. He did not stop. To the point that he was like, I was just waiting for a number. Give me a moment. And like, they were trying to pull this man because he was about to kill him. And Letty, convinced him to stop, but then he really didn't stop. Like, he couldn't turn that part of his brain off. And it got to the point that he was downstairs and like Letty was down there trying to convince him, but she had a bat in her hand. She was like, yo,
She
I
didn't
don't
trust
know,
him no
you
more.
going crazy?
Yep.
She couldn't. And real rap, but I ain't gonna say I just know I've lived through that. I know what that anger comes from. I know what that place of like, once the switch is turned off, everything around you doesn't even matter. And to the point that people around you, like, they don't even recognize who you are. Anger is coming from. And I thought that was really well acted from Jonathan. I thought that he did an amazing job executing. I think that Journey also effectively kind of like played off of him as well from the fear aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, before we go to the good part, which is about Ruby, what did you want to tackle about the Atticus and his situation with his dad and his feelings towards that? What did you want to bring up about that?
Just the way he harbors the feeling towards his father. We played this song and dance for the first 4 episodes of knowing there's something between these two. And at a point where Atticus is frustrated, pissed, he's mad because he feels his father is in his way of doing something again. But he not only sees that, he sees his father putting Letty in danger through his own actions, and that caused him to snap. And when you see him snapping that way, and to the point where Letty's pulling him off, she has to call other people to pull him off. I think she knew then. Like, I think it goes back to whatever traumas he had in the war. What was his trigger that he went this hard on his father?
Mm-hmm. It's a very fascinating thing because it's like, well, this is the thing. I don't know. I think the war was definitely a catalyst of his progressive trauma, but it was already, insinuated that his dad also put him through a lot of physical issue as well. And it's like, it's hard to dissect whether or not it was the war that was worse or living with his dad, which was worse. And that goes back and harper to what he had that conversation with Uncle George in the first episode. It's like, how did you let this happen to me? Yep. Why did you not do anything about it? And I thought that was so powerful because there's so many of us that have gone through that. And it made a really hard, emotional, resonant moment with me personally. But then, I mean, again, we're saving the best for last. We'll get there. But then your boy, the dad, you get a little bit about him too. Because...
Well, we kind of got the hint at the end, at the middle part of episode 4.
They did. Who was it? Who said it? Was it Tree? The dude named Tree?
Tree said, I'm sorry I sent you back there, but I wanted you to see. And then Atticus uses an acronym for back then that was perfectly fine to say about a lifestyle. He chose to say that. And he said, nah, I'm saying it for you. Samson, I think that's his name. It's spending a lot of time with Montrose.
Oh, yeah.
The guy. It's spending a lot of time with Montrose. And I think that played in his mind, but then we see it full blown here in this episode. And a very difficult scene to watch.
It was. It definitely was. Because you can tell that the dad, I mean, one, he's not sorry that he did what he did, but he also is internally in pain. And so he just wanted to feel something. And like first off, shout out to my man Kenneth because he executed that scene. I don't know how he did that. Low key, like he acted his tail off in that throughout the sequence of events and the way they did it, because every single moment when he was in a shot, whether he was doing an action or he was just still, I didn't know whether or not he was going to kill somebody. I didn't know if he hated himself so much that he, wanted to hurt somebody, or if he was trying to, let himself be completely free. I really didn't know. Like his expression showed, yo, this man is a straight up killer. And then yet he's maneuvering into this other lifestyle that's kind of like he's just letting himself go. And it's like, I don't know, man. They're going to be talking about that. They're going to talk about this episode for a while, to be honest with you.
Well, it kind of shows where some of his anger possibly towards Atticus comes from.
Yeah.
He's had to hide his whole life, possibly who he wanted to be, just to be there. And then that could lead to his anger and his fully understanding Atticus's anger of why he never really fought back. The whole time Atticus was punching him, he did not fight that back one time. He let it happen.
He did.
And then when he met up with his lover, again, it was very simple. They had not even a brief conversation about it. But then you see how comfortable he was in the remainder of the episode when they were in a group full of people he was comfortable around.
Yeah.
So I think stuff like that bears dividends moving forward on what we're going to get from these characters and the understanding of who they are, because that's the issue between him and Atticus right now is neither one of them know who the other person is anymore.
Yep.
And once you do know what the other person is, how do you deal with it?
How do you live with it?
Hey.
Because in the 1950s, you already an African-American man. And not to say that, what's his name, Samson or Solomon? I can't remember. He is very much so a light-skinned man. Yes. And, he, honestly, you could look at him one way and it's like, he look black, but I don't know. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, Atticus's dad, like, I don't know. It's just a different era. Like, he's got everything going against him. Who and what he actually is. He's intelligent. He is very deadly. He's menacing looking. He actually looks scary. He's, I guess, homosexual or bisexual. And he's a black man. All five of those things are bows for death. But yet he survived by sacrificing.
Yep.
By limiting himself. And so
limiting his own pleasures in life to ensure he raised his son the way he thought he could. And the resentment that came along with that.
Exactly. So it's kind of like, even if you go into the lineage side of stuff, when it comes to this whole birthright, whatever, that's something he couldn't tell anybody.
Nope.
He couldn't bring that up because that's a detriment to Atticus. That's a detriment to everybody around him. So he burned it all. He sacrificed that too. Like he's a character of sacrifice.
Yes.
And I mean, rightfully so, but it's like, at what point do you just let go? And I think this was his episode. He's like, you know what? I lost my son. I lost my brother.
Might as well let it go.
Whatever, bro. Like I'm with that life at this point. I don't care. But I think that your boy Kenneth Williams, he did an amazing job in this episode, man.
Yeah,
he did an amazing job.
Back to his Wire days in this episode. And matter of fact, now that I think about it, the light-skinned guy in this episode, Samson, was he the actor in The Wire? He looks familiar. That would be dope if that is the case.
I'm trying to look up that actor's even name. I can't find it. But yeah, now that we've kind of gone through all that, now we get to talk about the stuff that Lucas is excited to talk about.
Listen.
And I'm going to just let him have it. I'm just going to comment on the side because I got to get some water anyway. So, Lucas.
The crux of this episode being every black person's thought process. We've heard this for years. Yep. What would the world treat you like if you for a day could become a white person? So the episode kind of starts off with William and Ruby as they have consummated, I'm going to say, their relationship. and she wakes up as a white woman, panicking. She's losing her mind. She's wondering how she's white. And then she sheds her skin to reveal herself again. And William informs her, like, hey, this little vial of potion can do this for you. I'm just going to need a favor in the future. At that point, everything that happens with Ruby in this episode of her living a double life, of her living the life of a white woman versus her still being a black woman, and then seeing the differences on how people treat her as a white woman, but also we see parts of this episode where it shows how she treats other black women. And Sam brought up at the beginning of this episode, we had a situation where Ruby had lost a job to another black woman in a department store that she wanted to work in. So when she becomes this white woman, she attempts to question the black woman about her qualifications, only to find out that this black woman had little to no qualifications. And in all honesty, on paper, should not have gotten a job over her in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But her having to deal with that as a white woman and still criticizing her black sister.
Yep.
Even at one point in time, uplifting her, but still having to look around to make sure no one heard her say the words that she said. This is what I mean by this series needs to put race first and use other stuff as a secondary story. Like the idea of her every day becoming a butterfly and shedding her skin is amazing idea. Yeah. And to play it of her shedding her skin as a white woman because she wanted to see how it was to live the other life.
Yep.
That's amazing. Yep. On so many levels, that's amazing.
Yeah,
and it's like, the most interesting story. This is the most interesting story we have gotten out of Lovecraft, and it took 2 episode 5 to get there.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And then even to piggyback off of that, the visuals of the transformation, which is a combination of practical effects and CGI effects, are better than what I've seen in streamlined, decent horror films. I've not seen a transformation like this, period. I was like, bruh, whoever's the practical effects person of this needs to do Wolfman with Ryan Gosling. They need to be the ones working on the sidelines, because when she transformed the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then when you actually get to see her rip it off, I was like, fam, that's sick, dog.
That's when they got to the best parts of this episode, the best parts of the season so far for them. It's just this performance. And there's a performance between her and a white actress that plays her when she's white. Like the things they say, the movements that they make, her understanding that no matter getting that job in no shape, form, or fashion meant she was going to be accepted by white people. Because they talked about their black co-worker like a dog when she wasn't around.
Yep.
Like that. And again, this actress is what's the name? All I know her for is that she lied on Superman.
You're talking about Wanami.
Yeah. So all I knew is that she lied on Superman in BVS. And I thought she was the actress from Greenleaf, but she just looks like her. The only 2 things I knew. Besides that, in this episode, she puts on a great performance. A really good performance. Everything works with this episode. Why did it take 5 episodes for us to get an episode of Lovecraft Country that actually works? It took 5 episodes to get to this point.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it caters to every other character's story, too. It elevates every other person, even Letty. Because I was kind of like, with Letty, it was kind of like she got a real comprehension of, the man that she either one is going to spend the rest of her life with, or 2, like, is going to be in close proximity and connected to. And even she admits, she's like, bro, like, I'm messed up right now. And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, everything that we've been going through is messing me up. I'm like, it took you this long to say this? Like, what's wrong with you, dog? Like, I mean, I would have been the one like, yo, I'm crying tonight, bro. I can't sleep. I can't even eat. I'm terrified. Is there a Dracula here? You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
Realistically, you would be freaking out. And this was the episode that everybody really let out what was going on with them, whether it's Atticus, whether it was Ruby, even Christina.
Hey,
we find out
that was the last part of this episode to talk about. So in this episode, we find out the entire time, the big reveal is William doesn't exist, and Christina is actually William. Using the exact same potion that he gave Ruby to use to turn her to a white woman. She's using to turn her to a white man. Dude, that again, this is what happens when you actually do the work. And again, and get it away from everything else. Focus on one single story. They focused on one single story. They gave you subplots with nothing too deep in the subplots. I think that was the goal. You can have a serious action take place, but I don't need to overload you with a different storyline. And this one doesn't do that. It doesn't overload you with a different storyline. So we're focused on these people transforming the way they do. It looks gut-wrenching.
Yeah. And even the side character / mystery side of stuff, the police captain who basically on around the third episode kind of was like talking with Letty, like, what do you know about this house? Yeah, you heard about this, what happened in the house? Do you know anything? And he questioned her. And you're like, why is this police captain questioning her? Then when Ruby is going and doing undercover work, and like we heard in the beginning of the episode, because Christina had went to the police captain kind of like, look, I need you to do this. He's like, man, I ain't listening to you. You ain't nothing but garbage. Like, you're a lady or whatever. I'm not listening to you. You don't run this. And so she was like, I need information. That was the favor. You hear the person in the background like moaning, you don't know who's in the freaking closet. And of course, Ruby had to run in there. And this dude, he's pulling off his shirt. And I was like, bro, that man looked like a black man.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought was going to happen.
I was like, wait, what? And then it makes sense why he was asking about the doctor, because then we talked about the baby and the basketball player. He performed the surgery on the captain for him to have what he has physically or whatever.
Hey, and that was a shock. The moment he took off his shirt and you're looking like, wait, that's a black chest.
I was like, and that even deeper than that, from, people's perspective about themselves or looking at African Americans, that was profound. And it was so subtle. It wasn't like, it was a mystery. And yes, you needed to pay attention to really get it, but it worked. And it wasn't like
extremely well.
The foundations was there to make the mystery make sense. And that's what makes this episode so dope, bro. Like, there's so many different things. Even with Christina, honestly, like Christina, this whole entire time, I'm like, bro, like, what is up with this? The girl. What is up with this girl, bro? Like, why is she so weird?
But not only that, if you even think about the story Christine tells Ruby about what happened to William and about being shot in his back and the police chief believing he's dead, you're like, wait a minute, did this actually happen while you were William, or is this something you made up just to gain more sympathy?
Exactly. It's hard to gauge and it's hard to tell because we just don't know. But I mean, these are good questions.
Yes.
Because you've already got a foundation to build from instead of just throwing puzzle pieces at the
and just dropping you in the matter of fact, this is the first episode they didn't drop you cold into the middle of something. You kind of already knew what was happening from the bed, and then they went right back around to show you again, like, no, this is what's going on. Like, this is I all I'm saying, Lovecraft Country, is this is the way you need to go from now on.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have even they added a whole nother thing that we didn't even talk about. Atticus, this episode, I believe, after talking to Letty and telling her, look, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna tell you this, I'm gonna tell you that. Like, he had to, I forget why, he had to call the girl. Why did he call her? Why did he call the Korean girl
at the end of the episode?
Why? Because there was a reason why he had to call her. It was something he was in trouble about. And I don't remember why. Gosh.
That's when he breaks at the end of the episode.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But it was a reason, it was a catalyst, the reason why he had to call. It was something he found. Oh, the paper. He was going through and trying to decipher what the text meant. Mm-hmm. And then he realized what it actually spelled, and the last word was die. And I was like, wait. Was the chick alien? What the flip is going on? And I love that. I love that because now you got something to build on. You got a foundation you can work with. Now it's like, okay, yeah, we got more questions, but I'm vibing with Atticus now. Mm-hmm. I get Atticus now. Like, I care about Atticus now. So, yeah, I don't know, man. This was a dope episode. I don't know more.
No more needs to be said. This is the only must-see episode of Lovecraft.
This shot right here.
Yes. This is the only must-see episode so far this season is episode 5. It is a home run on so many levels, from the writing to the acting, to the cinematography, to the direction of it. The pacing of it is great. Like, this is the first episode I watched where I had nothing to complain about. I was like, this is great.
Yeah. I'm trying to look and see who directed this episode. Cheryl Dunye. I guess she's done some stuff for All Rise, Queen and Sugar.
Oh, that you know you could have stopped for me at Queen and Sugar. Of course, this would be the best episode. It's directed by someone who directed the episode of Queen and Sugar, and Queen Sugar has no bad episodes ever. So yeah, this makes sense now.
Yeah, and Black and Blue, I think she's right. But anyway, yeah, and they didn't have any random obscure music choices either. It took time. It had great cinematography. Mm-hmm. It had great VFX. It had great acting. It has standouts across the board. It's kind of like what Watchmen's
was that the sixth episode?
That was this episode for this series so far.
Yes.
They might make something better, but as far as a standout breakout episode, this was what made me want to continue. And if this episode hadn't came when it did,
I was on the borderline of saying I can't finish Lovecraft Country.
We were potentially on the way out.
Needed. Without this episode, I could have moved on to another show.
I mean, I literally was already looking at The Boys season 2. So yeah, it was, I mean, low key, bro. Like we were on our way out. But again, you guys, I think that this is something that you should pay attention to and watch. And it might make you go back and watch some other episodes in the past that'll make a little bit more sense if you hadn't been watching. But I love this episode, bro. Like this is my first favorite episode of the season. I don't think did we go through everything? Is there anything else we missed? I don't think
so. Not at all.
Oh, there's one thing. And I don't know if this happened in the last episode or happened in this episode. But why? Why did Uncle George's wife decide?
It happened at the end of this episode, didn't it? It happened at the last episode when she looked at the map. And she's deciding to go back to technically where he circled at just because it's circled. And she said to get answers, but why?
Like, it's like, why? First off, drop your kid off before you do that, bro. Talk to Atticus. Talk to your brother-in-law or whatever.
When
like
she hit that quick U-turn, and you're like, wait, are you taking your daughter there with you?
It's like, I mean, unless she think that Uncle George is alive, which from what we can tell, even though they didn't show it, this man had a whole funeral. So you ain't going to go get your husband. So why would you put your daughter in danger, dog?
They haven't fully said that he had a funeral, did they? I don't recall.
It's hard. I don't know, because the episode after Uncle George died, Atticus is just sitting there, cooking food and
doing everything else. Yep.
And she's upset with him because she's looking at him like, yo, where's my husband at, dog? Like, I'm mad at you. So I don't know, but I thought that was a weak point. I don't think that was in this episode. I think that was in the last episode.
It was in episode 4.
A lot to talk about last episode.
It was in the National Treasure episode.
Yeah, this episode, I'm not gonna say it's another anthology episode because it was just good. But if I had to compare it to something, I would say Wolfman mixed with.
It still feels like a Twilight Zone-y type of episode.
Mixed with a little bit of Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
But definitely the centerpiece was the Ruby arc, which, oh my gosh, we didn't talk about what happened with the whole boss. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. And it's like, I was listening to Lucas talk about like what happened with the person that he hired instead of Ruby.
Yeah.
But you can understand why he did, because he probably was trying to get fresh with her.
Yeah.
Like it was like, yo, you want to keep your job kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was, I mean, it was empowering, but it was dark, man. Like they took a completely dark turn. I just like, what's she doing? What's she planning to do with this man? And
when she starts doing it,
this girl took another stiletto and just she assaulted this man. Not in the way you think. Not in the way you think. But other thing I was gonna bring up is the actress that plays the Caucasian version of Ruby. Her name is Jamie Newman. She was the person that was also, wasn't she the same person that was holding the dad? Isn't that the same actress? So you remember in the whatever the little cavern area was where the dad was, I swear that's the same actress that was holding the dad that Letty, of course, eventually beat.
Wait a minute. Yeah. They look similar. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
No, it is. It is. It's the same actress. I'm literally on IMDb on Whitey's on the Moon, episode 2. It's the same actress. How is that possible?
That brings up a bigger question.
Wait, hold up.
So we know that Christine wasn't playing that woman at that time. Or did she just take that woman's personality after she was dead? As something to morph into. Or is it time travel elements into this also?
I mean, the problem is we don't know
nothing.
We don't know what took place at what time. We don't know if the Ruby arc of this is taking place in the present time.
Well, no, because the Ruby arc is after Letty has her house and everything, right?
True. Wait, yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, because actually when she meets William, all she says is that my half sister. She doesn't really go into much more detail than that.
She didn't go into any detail. And on top of that, we still don't know why was it that Christina gave Letty money? I'm good. We're gonna just assume that this is all in same continuity order, and that whoever
that she died, and they are using her face because it's safer to use her face to change her to a white woman.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Now, I will say it's very interesting that this same actress is also in episode 7 and 8.
So,
oh God, episode 8 is Jesus. You know the title of episode 8?
I have not seen it. Is it something I want to see?
It says Jigaboo.
Oh Jesus.
So
well, that clearly sounds like a Letty, not said Letty episode.
Ruby?
A Ruby episode.
But why was she? Well, hold on. I can't remember if in this episode didn't Christina allude that this could be something that could be permanent?
Yeah.
Did she ever say that? I can't remember what the context was, but I feel like she said it. And it's kind of like, if she said that, why wouldn't she do that for herself?
What you mean? To make herself permanently a male?
Mm-hmm. Because that's what she wants. It seems like that's what she really wants.
I think she wants the power that comes with being a man, but she doesn't want to be a man.
Yeah, that's why she said to Ruby, I want to see what you really want, who you really are. And that's why she gave her the option
to use the vial or not. Yep.
It's just very fascinating because that's gonna make, what is Ruby gonna do with that? Like, low key, like, do you befriend this person? Do you help her? Because right now your sister ain't told you nothing.
Not a damn thing.
Completely in the dark. So she has more room to trust and help Christina
than she does Letty.
Her own sister. Yep.
So I guess most of it's going to be answered in episode 6. Because clearly they're not going to give it to us before. Not any answers into what's going on. Because we barely got answers until this point. We just happened to come across episode 5, which is really, really good.
Yep. And as you can see, we've talked about this longer than any other spoiler review.
Hey, exactly.
And have fun doing it.
Like, this was the episode I was waiting for, because if I told you how much of a pain it was with them other episodes, it was this one. I was like, yeah, I can continue Lovecraft Country now.
Yeah, you can tell our issues in the spoiler review. We go in complete detail. Nothing held back, minus other stuff. But anyway, we're gonna go. You got any closing thoughts?
So, just because episode 5, if you would like to skip 1 through 4, you possibly can. It's not going to matter. And just check out episode 5. In all honesty, I would skip episode 1 through 4, check out episode 5, and then go back and watch 1 through 4. That way you need to see the pinnacle of what it is when it's good, and then go and catch all of them and watch it in order. Because you need to have hope. If you stuck and watched the first 3 episodes and you're a person like me who normally say, I don't watch anything past the first 3 episodes if I don't like them, you're probably going to cut Lovecraft Country off after the 3rd episode.
Yeah, he normally does say that. I would just say I would probably look at the first episode first, then look at this one, and then maybe go back and look at the other ones, because the other ones are so off the beaten path anyway. It doesn't even matter. Like, they're designed to be completely different from what the main continuity story is. I would just look at the first episode, skip to the 5th one, be like, oh, whoa, what's going on here? Let me go back. So, and you won't be disappointed, I don't think.
Definitely will not be disappointed here.
But yeah, we're all done. We did the daggone thing. We got through 5.
There you go.
I'm tired. We're gonna go. You get a lot, JVS. We ain't gonna stop. You have a blessed night. Peace, guys.